From what Pam told me, Mary asked him to just pay me so she could have the cake, and he said no, not because he couldn't afford it, but because he was tired of spending money on just one day. He told her to figure it out herself. So nobody knows what is going on anymore, or if there will even be a wedding. No one has reached out to me about making the cake either, and my husband, for those wondering, is still team Mary can suck an egg. Before anyone asks, no, Mary did not grow up poor. She was very much middle class like I was, and she's never been broke or anything. She's also never seemed like she wanted overly expensive stuff. She drives a 10-year-old sedan that, despite Frank saying she needs a new car, she won't get rid of because it runs fine, and my dad taught me to drive my cars into the ground. So believe me when I say it really is out of character for her to be this nonchalant about money. I'm not sure if I'll have another update. If I do, it'll be after the wedding, if there is one. ETA, I know a lot of people are saying things about Mary, just using Frank for his money. But at the same time, I want to remember that Pam only gave me Frank's side via what he's been telling the groomsmen. I have no idea what part he played, and if this really actually bothered him up to this point, or if he's ever mentioned the amount she's been spending to her. It's now 6 p.m., and I've not spoken to or heard from Mary since yesterday after giving her the quote, so I don't have any more to add other than my perspective. It really does sound out of character for Mary to be doing this. But I remember when I got married that my husband said he wanted me to have what made me happy for our wedding. So if he's been telling her what my husband told me and still giving her money, then he's definitely not an innocent party IMO. Last update, August 25th, 2024, 26 days later. So I didn't expect this to actually get read on Charlotte's channel, but since it did, I'll let everyone know what ended up happening. And, yes, it's confusing. Long story short, the villain in this situation isn't Mary. It's Frank. And no, they did not get married. If you want to read the first two updates, they're the only other two posts in my profile. And this update is all the information I've gathered from bridesmaid Pam and her fiancé. So bear with me. Most of this is what Mary has told Pam, who then relayed it to me. Anyway, I mentioned before that Mary was and still is a frugal person. That's why we all thought the gift and cake thing was weird, as well as her spending a bunch of money for the wedding. It turns out that Mary has actually been trying to save money despite doubling their budget. Apparently, Frank's family always throws extravagant celebrations and parties. That includes birthdays, holidays, graduations, and weddings. So Frank has been emphasizing to Mary that this wedding is supposed to be huge because that's just how his family is. I'm guessing it's a way to flaunt success, but that's just a guess. I don't actually know the real reason. But Frank has been hands off the entire time. I'm not surprised. My own husband only cared about the food, cake flavor, and that the colors weren't pink. But Frank has been telling Mary to save money, since that's what she's good at, and that he didn't want to spend a bunch of money on one day. So Mary picked out things that were cheaper, but were not good enough for Frank. Like that mansion/large house, where everyone would be staying? Yeah, Frank's idea. Mary apparently wanted to do a hotel that hosted weddings because her family could stay there for less money, and the hotel was just cheaper to host a wedding versus a literal mansion with horses. He would do this with everything and veto things like her choices of decorations and vendors because they weren't big enough, or I'm guessing extravagant. He even told her how big her bouquet had to be and that her dress needed to have lots of bling. So basically, Mary has been trying to stick to the budget, but what was in the budget didn't match Frank's taste or expectations. So when I said she had to pay for the cake, Frank accused Mary of not saving the money despite her being so money conscious. And Mary wasn't the one who had the problem with the cake. It was Frank. I guess they both knew the cake was free, but Frank didn't know I was making it as a gift. Mary explained that I was, and he said that didn't count, and to ask me about it. He said it didn't count because friends doing favors for an event like a wedding isn't a gift. On some level, she must have agreed, because she didn't mention Frank being the one with the problem at all in the messages. But whatever. Anyway, the cake was what Mary was really looking forward to, because it was the only thing she felt she had 100% say in regarding the wedding. And when I charged her for it, Frank was upset that Mary was not saving the money like he was expecting. This resulted in a fight where they ended up not on speaking terms. When Frank was complaining to Pam's fiancé and the rest of the groomsmen, it was in text, and according to Pam, Mary found them and left Frank for making her seem like a greedy bitch to everyone when she was only getting things Frank wanted without Frank's help. And that if it were up to her, they wouldn't have most of the expensive things she bought for the wedding. The only contact I've had from Mary was an apology text message. When I told her it was okay, and we were still friends, she didn't answer. In fact, she hasn't answered anyone other than to tell the wedding party that the wedding was off, apologize for the inconvenience. And since then, she's been quiet. She did post on her social media a long apology for canceling. She said postponed, but I noticed her relationship status is gone. But the location/check-in is in the hometown where her parents live, not where we live, so I think she went back to her parents' house after calling the wedding off. But that's all I know, and I heard it secondhand from Pam. But according to Pam, Frank is upset Mary left because all his money is tied up in vendors that he can't get back and has been trying to plead his case with the groomsmen. But only his brother is on his side. Pam's fiancé and the other groomsmen have stopped talking to him. Also, I heard Charlotte asking why Mary wasn't paying for the wedding too. I can't answer that, but Mary works as an SDNA and doesn't make a lot. Her bachelor's was in psychology, and she never went on to get her doctorates, so getting employed in her field isn't very easy. I also don't know if they're still together. Mary didn't say they broke up, just that the wedding is postponed/canceled. I apologize if this confused anyone, but I'll try to answer anything I can in the comments. Just remember I heard most of this secondhand, besides the apology I got from Mary and the post she made online, so I may not have all the answers. Edit. Change Pam's husband to Pam's fiancé. Sorry, I wrote this in a rush and was trying to keep up with the fake names for privacy.